Hello, I'm Dr. John Smelcer, a member of Ahtna Native Corporation and the traditional native village of Taslina in Alaska. And I'm among one of the a handful of native speakers of our very severely endangered language. I'm glad you are joining me for part 2 of the Ahtna words for birds. Today's most of the birds are related to ducks and geese. And I'll start off with snow goose, that big giant white bird that flies all the way up to Alaska. We have different names for it. We have 4 dialects, and each dialect has its own name for them. They're very similar, so listen carefully. In the central area, we call it datagi, datagi. But in our western, dataki. See, it's the K instead of the G. In our lower dialect, we say datai. So no gi or ki, just datai. And in some central dialect, people say senlazani. Very different there. Our word in general for duck is dotsani, dotsani. But if you're from Western dialect, which my grandmother Maury Second Chief was, they would say zeedzi, zeedzi. Very different. Mallard duck. Everyone knows what a mallard duck looks like. Well, our word for mallard duck is, we say c.letsi, c.letsi in the central and lower dialect. In our western dialect particularly, they said kedeltsigi, kedeltsigi. And in some of our upper dialect, Mintasta, they say taicho, taicho. Pintail duck. If you've ever seen a pintail duck, we call pintail duck, in most of our dialect, we call it senazi, senazi. But in our western dialect, they say saw-nazi, saw-nazi. And in Mintasta, our upper, our northernmost dialect, we said ze-nazi, ze, with a Z. The American widgeon, I hope you know your ducks, because I'm not sure I could tell you the difference between all of these. But the American widgeon, in most of our dialects, we simply call tasiyi, tasiyi. But again, in our Mintasta, our upper dialect, we call it just sasin, sasin. Then there's the shoveler. You probably know what it is. Its bill's a little bit different. It's the shoveler. We call it in Mintasta. Some of these words, I don't have all the words from the different dialects. But in Mintasta, they call it dalaslaga, dalaslaga. The green-winged teal. So the green teal, we call sauce, just sauce. But also ketsauce, ketsauce. And in the western dialect, where my grandmother Maury Second Chief was from and taught me her words, sesgai, sesgai. Let's try one more for today, the harlequin duck. The harlequin duck, in our western dialect, we say zethzidze, zethzidze. In our Mintasta, our upper, our northern dialect, we said zethzide, zethzide. So that's it for part 2 of birds. Stay tuned for part 3.